Imagine sitting down to a perfectly cooked meal, but right before you take a bite, the entire process reverses time. The finished dish flies apart, traveling backward through delivery trucks, processing plants, and markets, all the way back to the soil and the sea. That massive, invisible journey from farm to fork is governed in the Philippines by Republic Act No. 10611, commonly known as the Food Safety Act of 2013. Before this legislation passed, figuring out exactly who was responsible for a contaminated batch of food was a maze. Multiple government agencies had overlapping jurisdictions, making it nearly impossible to pinpoint liability when something went wrong. The Food Safety Act cuts through that confusion by assigning exact legal responsibilities to specific actors at every single step of the supply chain. The primary legal burden for keeping food safe actually does not rest with the government. It falls on the food business operator, or FBO, which is the legal term for any person or company involved in producing, processing, or distributing food. Every FBO is required to know the current regulations, apply strict safety controls to their specific segment of the chain, and open their doors for government inspections. The accountability starts at the very first link, primary production. This stage covers the direct harvesting of fresh crops from the field. It also includes post-harvest handling of raw agricultural commodities, like sorting massive piles of sugarcane before they undergo chemical or mechanical alteration. The rules apply out on the water as well, covering fishermen hauling in their catch and workers managing marine products in aquaculture ponds. Because these foods are entirely raw and unprocessed, the Department of Agriculture holds exclusive regulatory oversight over this entire first tier. That jurisdiction instantly changes the moment a raw ingredient enters a facility to be chopped, cooked, or put into sealed packaging. Once a product is processed or prepackaged, the regulatory mandate shifts completely to the Department of Health and its Food and Drug Administration. After passing through the factory, food enters local commerce, and the oversight shifts a third time. At the retail level, local government units are tasked with enforcing sanitation rules in community spaces, particularly inside crowded public wet markets where raw meats and fish are sold directly to consumers. That local authority extends out onto the pavement, giving city and municipal governments total jurisdiction over sidewalk vendors and ambulant food stalls. To prevent these three major authorities, the DA, the FDA, and the LGUs, from stepping on each other's toes, the law created the Food Safety Regulation Coordinating Board, or FSRCB. This board acts as a central conductor, ensuring seamless communication across departments. The result is an unbroken chain of government oversight that precisely matches the physical transformation and geographic location of the food at any given second. Let's say a contaminated product somehow makes it onto a grocery store shelf, and a rapid health alert is issued. The system's primary defense against a widespread outbreak is a strict legal requirement called traceability, meaning a documented paper trail that follows the food's movement. This flowchart shows traceability in practice. First, every food business operator must look one step backward, identifying exactly which supplier provided their ingredients. Second, they must look one step forward, maintaining records of exactly which businesses they sold products to, enabling immediate, targeted recalls. If a business fails to comply with a recall order or engages in adulteration, misbranding, or simply refuses to let an inspector inside, they are breaking the law. The penalties for these violations escalate quickly. Offenders face hundreds of thousands of pesos in fines, long-term suspension of their operating licenses, and they are required to pay the hospital bills of anyone sickened by their food. If a violation results in a consumer's death, the consequences are final. The responsible parties face up to 6 years in prison, permanent business closure, and if the offender is a foreign national, immediate deportation. Ultimately, the Food Safety Act operates on a simple reality. You cannot guarantee safety by simply testing a finished meal on a plate. True food safety requires constant, legally binding vigilance across every single link in the chain. Thanks for joining us to break down the law. We'll see you next time.